back. Week 6, Gaming Society football show. We're not calling it football edition anymore because it's a show. You got Mike Vick rocking the number 7 hat. You got Dave Anderson rocking with the left fade today. The Michael Vick going to the left here. That's right.
Or should I do that way?
Representing. Got to switch it up on people every now and then, Mike. You know how it is.
Yeah, got you a nice little painting back there.
I got my daughter.
Like some of your daughter put together.
Thank you for recognizing my background. We always talk about backgrounds because we do this in Zoom. And you know what? Before this show even kicks off, we got a comment. Mike and I had our all-in bets last week. We were 2-0, Mike.
Yeah,
undefeated.
We hit it on the head. We nailed it.
First time even doing the segment, and we win. Titans -5. What did I told everybody? Jacksonville is a dumpster fire right now. Pick the Titans. Derrick Henry's going to beat them up. Yep. Sure enough, -4.5. I got the W. Mike came in with saying Arizona is gonna get after the 49ers. Trey Lance, while I look for him to finally get his feet wet to get going, I don't think he can pull out a victory, especially not one to cover. You were right. Arizona -4. Big all-in victories for Dave Anderson and Michael Vick. So you know what? We are progressing. We are showing. We're putting the football knowledge into our betting knowledge, and I think that's the key here, and that's what we're all trying to learn, trying to help everybody out with. But if you can help me out with something. I was searching on my Twitter feed. We brought this up before the show. I see Mike Vick with Charles Woodson. Now, did you guys buy tickets together at the Wilder Fury fight? Did you guys tickets together? I mean, I've asked you to go golfing. It's not the same. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it yet. Break this down. How'd you end up there?
We got lucky, man. Big bro Mike Strahan asked us if we wanted to go. Take the jet. And some of the producers was going, man. Shout out to, the producers at Fox. Bill Richards and the guys, Spoon, man. They showed us some love, man. So, Strahan pulled the jet up. The tickets was already configured. Me and Charles just happened to end up next to each other. That was cool. And Strahan, Big Bro was right there too. So me, Charles, and Strahan was right there representing.
What time did you go? Like, give me a breakdown of like you show up, you take the jet, you get there at 5, you have some drinks, and then you go.
So just giving everybody a visual.
Yeah, I want to feel the evening. I live through you.
Yeah, pickup was at 5:15. 30-minute drive. Got to I won't even say the hangar. Got to the hangar about 5:40. Was on the plane at 5:50. We was landing in Vegas at like 6:35. Cars right there in the arena by 7.
Damn. I didn't see Strahan in the pit.
Had some food, conversated with some people, was in the arena by 7:45. So it only took 2 hours to get there, get situated, and be ringside, ready for the action.
Now I'm guessing. Who did you have? Did you have? Speaking of, this is a gaming. Who you were betting? Did you bet on anyone? Did you feel the flow? Did you have Wilder? What did you do?
Look, I know enough about boxing to know it can go either way. I seen 2 incredible fighters in the ring. My heart wanted Wilder to get the knockout. I know he got the hands still, but I also knew that Tyson Fury was a superior boxer. So I was just a spectator, man, and I knew that somebody was going to go down. I didn't know it was going to be 5 knockdowns, but those guys, they definitely earned the respect of one another. Most important. Man, some of the impact and the thuds that I heard, I couldn't believe that those guys was just still standing at the end, both of them. Wilder hit Fury with a body shot in the first round, and I felt it from 4 rows out. I mean, out of this world, man. If you haven't been to a fight, I encourage you to go to one. Talking to our audience.
This comes from a guy
it's an amazing experience.
This comes from a quarterback who used to stand there, staring off in the distance while a guy Michael Strahan size used to put their shoulder pad and their helmet right into your ribs. Don't forget you were playing back in the day when you're allowed to hit quarterbacks wherever you wanted. And
I played against
especially someone like you. They would encourage you to wrap up your legs because you were out there.
Absolutely. Michael Strahan, he must have a little sympathy for me. Because he left me with a sore back for 4 months. Him, Yerman Ura, Justin Tuck, and about 8, 9 more of them.
I don't.
Yeah. So shout out to Michael Strahan. That's my guy.
Now I didn't get to go to Tyson Wilder versus Fury fight, but I did get to go to the Cleveland Browns San Diego Chargers game, and I can tell
nice.
you, SoFi Stadium's legit. I went with some Browns fans who just like they poop and shit all over Los Angeles. It's hilarious, and that they which is amazing coming from Cleveland. But regardless, we watched a Chargers team that is a fun football team to watch. And I can say back when I was playing, they were fun to watch when Merriman and that defense were dominating teams. This is a Chargers team that reminds me of them in a lot of ways, in that they're exciting on the offensive side of the football, which is, Phillip Rivers' early days when they had all those weapons with LT, when they had Vincent Jackson running around, when they had Antonio Gates in their prime. This is a fun Chargers team. Our intriguing matchup this week, Chargers versus Ravens. You saw the Ravens finish off a kind of a lucky win, but I'm really excited about this Chargers-Ravens game, mainly because it's quarterback competition. I'm curious what you see in these two teams, because we've talked a lot about the Chargers and the Ravens in the past.
Yeah, definitely the game of the week. The Chargers, first off, a super talented team on both sides of the ball, and I think just the way they're gelling right now, they're growing up together.
That's a good
bunch of young guys. This is a young football team, and a team that's going to be around the league playing well for a long time. They're here to stay. They're here to stay, and it starts with their quarterback and Justin Herbert. I think on the defensive side of the ball, Joey Bosa and Derwin James and Asante Samuel Jr. really locking it down. They got another corner. I can't remember his name right now, but it's a solidified group, a solidified secondary, which I think puts the ball in the hands of the offense. For the Ravens, like you said, lucky win last week, but they won. And Lamar played great. And I think in order to beat the Chargers, they're going to have to play a lot better. More complete football game and not allow a huge deficit to take place, because it might not be, an easy feat to come back versus Justin Herbert.
When you say a team's growing up together, these guys are 24, 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
What do you really mean? Like the struggles, the wins, what?
The character. Winning and losing builds character. More so when you win. You know that.
Yeah.
Like when we win, we can rejoice, and then we can talk about why we won, how we won, how we going to win the next game. We lose, why we lost, how we lost, how we going to not let this affect us moving forward. And when you're young and you're going to be together for a while and you can see the future, like, okay, Derwin James and the rest of the guys in the secondary, all first, second, third year players, we can be together for a while.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, maybe without the addition of Keenan Allen because he's a little older, but Mike Williams, young, Eckler, young, Bosa, young.
Yeah.
So they grow together, become leaders together, and they learn to win and lose together. But more importantly, learn how to win together.
Yeah, I think the from a player's perspective, we had a lot of losing when I was on the Texans, and we really struggled.
Sound like it was hard for you to say that.
We struggled. We struggled how to figure out not to lose. Right? You watch some of these. I think what you're really talking about is some of these younger teams, as they get older, they don't lose those close games. They don't make that stupid penalty when it's 3rd and 7 on the 35-yard line to put them in field goal range. Instead, they make that sack, or they pick up that or they just jump on that fumble. They don't try to pick it up and run with it, right? They make those little smart plays that don't show up in the stat sheet, but allow you to win games. I couldn't agree more, because I think that is the key to growing up. But growing up or what is certainly helpful. And Vegas has spotted the Ravens 3 points. So the Ravens are underdogs versus the Chargers. I think people looked into that game, saw how the Ravens barely pulled that off, saw what the Chargers were doing, how they came back. So Ravens -3, point total 51.5. But instead of the point spread and the total, this is a quarterback matchup right up your alley. You want to talk about it. Lamar Jackson over under is actually 74.5 rushing yards. Do you see anything in the Chargers defense that would expect you for him to run more or less than he usually does? When you got an end like that coming after you, are you more likely to hang in a little longer because it's going to be hard to get around that edge, or is it someone you take off on sooner?
Well, you got to take off a little sooner with Bosa, because Bosa's a guy that can run you down. He's super strong and he's fast. He's not a quick guy in space to try to take down a guy like Lamar Jackson, but if he has to get in stride and run Lamar down, he can do that. So I think he'll create pressure and if they were smart, I think defensively, they'll have to find ways to contain him with the front four. Not an easy thing to do because Lamar Jackson is just too elusive. So I think Lamar try to think to run faster and a little quicker, but still rely on his instincts and not let Joey Bosa be a guy who's going to define how we play our game, on offense.
You talk about instincts. I think my instinct that I was the fastest, let's just say the fastest football player on the field pretty much went away like my senior year of college when we started playing like USC. I was like, there's some cats on here.
Yeah.
Were you, when you were playing, when you were back there in the pocket, did it ever cross your mind that you still like, did it, like you were still the fastest guy on the field? Like, did you ever really have to think about not being the fastest guy? I mean, obviously we get older and you're not the fastest at some point, but like, when you're running around there, is that something you considered, or you're like, hey, I'm just faster than everybody, I can take off? Or does it not cross your mind?
I felt like my speed didn't matter. And I say that because indirectly I wanted to not go in the game relying on my speed. Like, okay, this is the one asset. Strong arm. I got the shakes, I got the moves, I got, the brain power, the mindset, got the heart. The speed is just another addition to what I can bring. So I tried to prepare for defenses as if they was going to get me. I psych myself out in my mind. Like they're going to get to me. Now I got to get away. Now I got to use my quickness and my speed. So if it comes down to that, then I can use it. But I'd rather beat them with my arm and passing the ball because we advance the ball quicker. I never really wanted to run, Dave. I don't want to run.
No, you 6,000 yards. Hit if you run.
6,000 yards I racked up. That was, by force, a little bit by choice. More so by force.
But so you circle this back around to 74.5 yards. What I always find really hard about betting on quarterback runs is like you only really design one or two at max two a game. And you really are only hoping to get 10 yards out of those. Sometimes it's like a draw on second down or like a first down kind
touchdown,
of like like maybe some of the 3 yard line. So like basically what we're relying on is 74.5 yards, maybe let's say 50 yards on scrambling, which is tough, right? Like that's just a hard bet for me to really get behind. I mean, he could easily run for 200 yards and I wouldn't be surprised, but like maybe not 200, 120 I wouldn't be surprised, but like 74, I just feel that's a tough one. But the one that I'm a little more comfortable with, Justin Herbert over 299.5. It's so funny. They don't want to say 300. 299.5 passing yards. I saw the way he was slinging it. The one thing I like about what the Chargers do, it reminds me a lot of way Kubiak used to scheme up defenses for us on the Texans. We always had Andre Johnson running 30, 40 yards wide open at least once a game. We would spend probably a practice or, we would scheme up, rep it 2 or 3 times in practice. Hey, they're going to bite on this. We're going to run this for the first 2 quarters. And then soon enough, we're going to get over their head. We're going to double move him. And he's going to be 30 yards wide open. Like I remember it happened probably every other week. The Chargers did that almost twice last week. And if you can scheme up those easy big plays, I know you had a couple of those in your every year in your career. Like that gives you a lot of confidence to just huck a deep ball and get a quick 7 and something like that. I don't know if did you get to see any of that Cleveland Chargers game in the way they were scheming up?
No, I didn't get to catch it, but I tracked the score. And then I caught the highlights. And, sometimes I can just look at the score and then go look at the highlights and know exactly what happened. I can go check the running game and then just look at some receiver catches. But Justin Herbert, man, he's one of those gems. You know who he remind me of? And, I'll say this with all respect to, my bro. He remind me of Ben Roethlisberger when he first came out. Like, Ben was young, impressive.
Yep.
I mean, went to the AFC Championship game his rookie year, came back the next year, went to his rookie year. Just, he came to a team that, like, needed help at one position. Yeah. And that was the quarterback position. So I like Justin Herbert, man. I like what he bring. I like that we get to watch this man grow for the next 15 years in the National Football League.
I think you're exactly right. That's actually a really good comparison. That like he is bigger than you think. I think Ben's obviously like just like a tank, and so hard to
he's
tackle.
slinging.
And well, the thing that Ben always does, he just had that wiggle, just to
Yeah.
wiggle out of a play and kind of get you an extra pass.
Yeah.
Justin does have a little more elusivity to him, but like whatever, however you do it to get the ball off, it works. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to roll with the Chargers on this one. I don't think the Ravens, I didn't like the way they looked. I think what you mentioned at the top is that the Chargers can jump on them early, force the Ravens to play from behind, which they're not really good at that. So I'm going with the Chargers over the Ravens here. You can pick the money line, you can pick them to cover, whatever you want. I think they just win this game out by about 7, but I'm not sure where you fall, who you like in this game. It's a fun one.
I think it's a fun one, and I usually would go with the Ravens, and I like what the Ravens bring on offense, but they kind of remind me of Kansas City right now. I'm not so sure about the Ravens defense falling behind to the Colts, and not to take any credit away from the Colts, man, but you know they fell behind, and Carson Wentz had his way for a while. So I think the Ravens will struggle defensively against the Chargers offense. Now on the other side of the ball, I know Lamar gonna do his thing. You know, can the Chargers stop him? Yeah. So I'm gonna take the Chargers in this one.
There's a good chance these teams play each other again too, right? Like
no
teams
doubt.
are probably going to finish first or second in their divisions and meet in the playoffs at some point.
Yeah.
And when you look at the teams that are up there for the AFC Championship odds, so looking at your futures, that means bets that you think you're going to win in the future, right? We got. All these are plus means you put money, you put 100 down, you can win 250. Number one team out there to win the AFC Championship should come as no surprise. Buffalo, team who put a beat down on Kansas City. I think both of us were wrong on that last week. We thought Kansas City was going to bounce back. Yeah. Kansas City, even though been struggling, still number 2 in the AFC Championship odds, plus 400. Then you got Baltimore. I think the most surprising number 4 team on here is Cleveland. And then you got the Chargers, who just beat Cleveland at plus 750. Cleveland plus 700, Chargers plus 750. People think that, you know, obviously, if you're looking at this, 2 teams are going to come out of one of these divisions, and Buffalo is going to really basically come out and have the 1 seed out of the AFC East. So I'm not sure. If I had to pick right now who's going to win the AFC, it'd be hard to not pick Buffalo, right?
It'll be hard to not pick Buffalo. It'll be hard to not pick the Ravens.
You think?
It'll be hard to not pick the Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody's kind of, you know, and you know, it's circumstantial in the NFL. So everybody's having their own little issues and problems, and that's to be expected early in the season.
Yeah, people forget they don't hand out championships in the first week in October.
Yeah.
So nothing to worry about here. There's still a lot of injuries, a lot of people coming back from injuries. There's a lot of coaching changes going on already in the NFL. It's about to be hectic. I think people forget about that too, is that some teams are going to lose coaches week 10, week 12, and that means an easy win for some team in your division, right? If all of a sudden, just like we saw the Raiders lose their coach, what happens to the Raiders? What happens to the AFC West? What happens to the AFC? If we asked you this last week, AFC Championship odds, the Raiders are probably 3rd on that list. So a lot can change in the next 11 weeks or 12 weeks, I guess we should say. So definitely pay attention, but that'll be exciting to watch the AFC. I think there are a lot more unknowns, and I think probably the stronger division in the first quarter of the season. The thing we always want to get into here at Gaming Society is the betting academy. And for about 2 weeks ago, we did prop bets. This week, we got what's called a teaser. I can finally teach you something here, Mike. Get back to the teaching.
Let's get back to teaching.
It's not a joke. It is called a teaser, right? Everyone, it is a common nomenclature. It's a parlay. So it's a bet on top of a bet where you can adjust the point spread on selected games. All right. So for instance, the Rams, who are 4-1, are playing the Giants, who are 1-4. The Rams are favored by 9.5 points. Let's just say you don't like that bet. You want to look, you wish that the bet was 6.5. You can tease it down. Now, what happens when you tease it down, you obviously win less money. So you're basically, here's your bet. Now you're teasing it down with another bet and you're pushing that down. So your winnings go down, but you can tease it down. You can also do that with a number of different bets, right? If you parlay a bunch of them together, you can tease one or two of them down. So that's called a teaser. A good world example would say you're racing our producer, Michael Davis. Let's say you're racing him in a 40. And if you're racing just straight up, both of you race 40 yards, Mike would have a plus 1,000 bet. Mike Vick is going to dominate him. Okay, well, I want to tease this up. I want to let Davis only run 20 yards. Now, you're not going to give me the same odds, right? You're going to change the odds now. So now the odds change as I move Mike Davis down the line. That's basically what we're doing. We're moving the line, and so the odds change with them. But the real question is, could you beat our producer, Mike Davis, if he runs, let's just say a 25 and you still run a 40? Do you think you could beat him?
Yeah. Back then. Now, probably not. And, you know, I have to size him up and see what he's looking like. But for the most part, I would say, yeah, I'll catch him. I got to train first. Last time I tried to run, I blew my hamstring to shreds.
When'd you do this?
A couple months back for the Run Rich Run charity. I blew it for a good cause. I blew my hamstring for an amazing cause. It cost me. But next time I'm going to train and be ready. So
how about this? So I had a bet that I couldn't dunk by my 38th birthday, and we should put this up here if you want to count it as a dunk or not. It was a tip jam is all I got, but it took me 3 months to get that suddenness back. Because like if you're not sudden, you're not using those muscles. Like you can use the big muscles and train, but if you're not firing them like that, it's a wrap. And it's
a wrap.
We'll talk about rehab and sports science on another show, but this is a gaming society, so we'll stick with this. But we always finish, you know, we talk about teasers. We're going to move over to primetime picks. I think last week I wasn't too excited. You reminded me how exciting Thursday night football can be, and it lived up to that. This Thursday night football, we got Tom Brady again. We got the Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Two teams one team you're extremely familiar with. Another team you're obviously familiar with, haven't played them forever in the NFC South. The point spread on this 7 is the Bucks are favored. Okay. I think what's more interesting is that after last week, I'm reading this interesting stat out here. After last week, Tom Brady has scored 44 points or more 6 times with the Bucks. Before Brady, the Bucks as a franchise scored 44 points or more just 6 times in their 44-year history. Brady is dealing, and I think he's 44 years old. Might be 62 now.
Crazy.
I feel like people don't realize how well Brady is using the talent, and I think people forget that he did that last year that was his first year with the Bucks. He did it in a COVID year, like. So impressive what they did last year, and I think they're building off of that slowly but surely. It's showing up in his stats. The question is this defense the same? They're obviously banged up. They're picking up guys off the street to play. That's why I only think it's -7. Jalen Hurts over there. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see them play last week. Did you see the Philly game last week? Have you been watching and following Jalen Hurts and what he's doing?
I didn't watch it, but I went back and seen some of the highlights. Like I said.
Yeah,
not a lot of deep passes down the field. He only threw for like 180 yards, but they was efficient in their game plan, and more importantly, the defense came to play.
Yeah,
and some errant throws by Sam Darnold. They got some gifts, which helped them win this game.
The thing that I'm still unsure about is him as a combo player, right? Like I think Lamar Jackson is pretty clear. He's a combo. He's a threat to run, and when he does run, he's really dangerous. To me, Hurts is a threat to run, but he's not really dangerous when he runs.
Yeah,
no?
He's not accepting the fact right now that he's a dangerous runner.
Yeah,
and he poses a threat to the defense more so than he even thinks. So right now he's kind of playing within the framework of the offense and not forcing and not being that dual threat. You know, the more he gained experience, I would think that he would start to realize, look, I can do a little bit more. I can actually do a lot more and start bringing that to the table. He needs to be a dual threat. That's going to help them win more games.
Do you think it's about him finding, so you talk a lot about guys finding their spots and their rhythm in the game. When I think about quarterbacks running, in college, you see a lot of guys like Johnny Manziel, I thought was a perfect example. When he ran in college, he ran right up the middle of the field. And he would make a guy or two miss, and then he'd break out to the outside and then kind of create some angles and get a couple yards. You can't really do that in the NFL. Like if you're in the middle of the field, you make a move or two and then you slide because people are coming for your face, or you
and
run
then
on the hashes
outside,
and then the hashes are smaller. The whole field is squished, right? And so like as a quarterback, when you're looking for your lanes to run, do you think a guy like Jalen Hurts, because he's not an exceptional kind of elusive runner, needs to I almost feel like you need to angle towards the sideline a little more and find pockets to run like that, right?
Yeah, he just need to get vertical. Just go straight. Just don't go lateral. Get vertical and kind of use his size and his speed to his advantage. Now, he probably can take on some hits. He looks like he's stocky and it's like he weighs about 215 to 20 pounds. So he needs to use that to his advantage. Not overkill. It's not a lot of design quarterback runs. It's more so, ad-libs when he get the running.
So Jalen Hurts, one of the interesting bets out there right now is combined passing and rushing yards. The over-under is 337. That's
for both rushing and passing.
So you're gonna get basically his total yards. That would mean he's got to throw. He's got to throw for about 275, 285.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're breaking it down, I don't know, against a Bucs defense who's still healthy up front. Yes, I think his best bet is to get 320 of that from the back end, but look, I'm looking at the under.
I mean, they got some speed demons over there. Take the connect on one or two big throws.
True.
To have, 70, 80 yards just like that, real quick, a screen here that can go to yard. So I do think he can get about 70 yards rushing versus the Bucs defense, because he's gonna have to move. He's gonna have to run a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's where the pressure's gonna come from. It's gonna come from up front, and then he's got to manipulate the back end.
Well, I'm gonna take the under. You sold me a little bit.
I understand that,
but I'm taking the under. I think it's always fun to look at some of those bets. If you don't like the game, sometimes you can look at a specific player. You can find something to bet on, find something to get a little juice on the game, a little action. So you follow it. Always about the under. There's an old saying. I'm sure there's T-shirts that say this. It's never over until it's under, because you got to the last play of the game before it's over. But you can hit the over in the first half, right?
Yeah.
The total's 52 and it's 28 to 28 in the first half. You win already, but if you got the under, you got to wait till that final whistle blows. So that's always the tear of taking the Jalen Hurts under there. But they're leading the third half to Sunday night football. We got Seahawks versus Steelers. I feel like I see a lot of Seahawks on the night games lately. Maybe it's just because I'm out here on the West Coast. Seahawks versus Steelers. DK Metcalf, these guys have been playing their balls off. They're going to have to really kind of rally around a new quarterback situation, not having their fearless leader, Russell Wilson, back there. Let's see, Steelers -5. So they're favored against the Seahawks. Point total 42. Yeah. So this is a low scoring game. Seahawks, you mentioned it, have kind of been struggling internally a little bit. Not that we ever really know what's going on in the locker room being outside, but I'm curious. That was something you mentioned before. What do you think happens when you lose your quarterback in this situation? How do you like this Seahawks-Steelers game?
I mean, the Seahawks, they're starting Geno Smith. Geno gets a chance to go and show the NFL that he's learned a lot over the years, and he's ready. This is his moment. He's got about a 4 or 5 game stretch that he's going to be allowed to play. So, on offense, they got all the tools on offense. They got DK. They got a couple other guys that they can sprinkle in. Tyler Lockett is still a big addition to the offense. So I think they'll play. They didn't look like they missed a beat last week when Russell Wilson left out.
No.
But defensively, they're struggling. They can't stop the run.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin's going to identify that. He's going to challenge these guys, and they're going to come out and they're going to run the ball right at them. So Najee Harris could have a huge day. And then when the running game is clicking, that opens up the play action and pass game.
I like asking you questions because then it either challenges me, and when it's challenged, then I just punt, because I don't want to I want to have converging validity, as a lot of people say, when I agree with you, but you articulate it in a better or different way. That makes me think about it. Like I was thinking about this the same way that the Steelers need to come out and attack this team. And I wasn't sure when you're right at them, you got to run it right at them. So I like a Najee Harris bet. We do have Chase Claypool and DK Metcalf, 2 receivers combined for over 150. You can do some funky stuff like there in some of these places, but I would go with a running back. I would avoid all the receiver bets. I'm listening to Mike Vick here. Let's avoid receiver stuff. Steelers -5. Let's avoid that point total. Let's avoid that. If you're going to bet on this game, I'd say go with something with the running backs, especially on the Steelers. It'd be a hell of a game. Then you go to Monday Night Football. Now, someone who's never disappointed on Monday Night Football has been Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to have his hands full playing the Buffalo Bills. You got the Buffalo Bills, who probably haven't been on Monday Night Football since Jim Kelly was quarterback. City of Buffalo is super excited.
That's about to change.
Bills 5.5-point favorites. Bills versus Titans. Not a game. A game 2 years ago we would have been on the Thursday night multicolored games. Remember they used to do those?
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's mainly because 2 contrasting styles. But the Bills versus Titans. Some interesting stuff about this one is you can Josh Allen 309 yards passing. That 300-yard mark is just kind of where they always put elite quarterbacks. And my question to you is, as a quarterback, that seems where Vegas always settles, 300 yards. Do you guys look at that as like a marker, as like a good game or a great game?
That's a great passing day. You know, if you threw for 300, you found your targets. You found your guys. You executed the offense.
Did you kill it though? Or you killed it?
250 is like, man, this is a great day. 2 touchdowns should complement that. 300 yards is like, I don't even need touchdowns. I just know I moved the chains all day. Somehow, somewhere, it was a good day.
I don't know why.
Even in the losing effort.
That just came up to me because in college, 100 yards, good game. Pros, it's tough to get 100 yards every game in the pros. That was a killer game if you get 100 yards in the pros.
Yeah.
You get about 80 as an NFL receiver, you're also moving the chains, you're doing your job. Now you might get a chunk of that, like 60 on a big play or something. So you adjust a little bit because it's really about your per catch. But I mean, you get 100, that is a killing it game. And I feel like sometimes fantasy football fans are a little jaded and they're like, why can't you get 100 yards? Like, you're killing it as a receiver if you're getting 100 yards. So we're betting that Josh Allen is going to be killing it against the Titans over 300 yards passing.
Yes.
In a similar fashion, the Derrick Henry over is 104 rushing yards, which to me is crazy. Like that's a big number.
Over 100, over 104?
104.5 is the line.
Well, that's going to be the challenge for the Buffalo Bills. Can you stop Derrick Henry? That's what it's going to be. So I can see that number, but good running football teams, he can hit that milestone. He can hit that marker in that game. It's a little iffy, man. That's a tough one.
And there's been a lot of news about the 100 rushing yards because with Baltimore, what they did with their streak and it finally ended, whatnot. But like they were doing it by committee. This is Derrick Henry himself doing it, right? Like that's a little different of an ask.
But he always break one. He always break one under the big lights, man. Under the bright lights, he performs, and he's a game breaker. He's a game changer. He's a good football player, and he looked like he's running himself to the Hall of Fame. I'll just say that respectively.
Remember in our fantasy draft when I still said Kareem Hunt's a good football player, and Paul Pierce was like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "That means you still are putting up numbers." Like, yes, we're in the NFL. Of course, he's a good football player. Right. We all agree.
Yeah, he's a good football player.
He looks like when there's a bunch of 8th graders playing with their uncle out there half the time. He's just stiff arming little DBs to the ground, just punishing people. And like, even when you see him like sitting in I saw this picture of him in the meeting room the other day, just looks like a beast, like just like big hands,
2.5
shoulders, arms, face, just looks like if he's running at you full speed, like that is not something you want to get in the way of. Monday Night Football, Bills versus Titans. Bills, we'll just quickly cover this. Favored -5.5. I'm going Bills here. I think Bills Monday Night Football, Josh Allen. I do think he's going to throw over. I do not think Derrick Henry is going to hit his rushing yards. I got Bills -5.5. I don't know if you want to chime in on any of those, but that's where I landed.
Yeah. I got Bills covering -5.5. I think they cover. I do think Derrick Henry run for over 100 yards. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be tough sledding. I don't know what what is the points, not point total.
Total's 54. So it's not a small game, but all right.
Yeah. I won't get into it. I won't get into it.
I think the Bills win by about 10. I'm not that convinced of the Titans yet, and I don't think Henry has a big game, but he'll rush. But on to more important things. Fantasy football, Mike Vick. There was a lot of talk about can Dave Anderson keep it up. It was all over the Twitter sphere. It was like Mike Vick at the Tyson Fury fight, Deontay Wilder fight, and then it was like Dave Anderson now scored 200 points and embarrassed Mike Davis. Like just blew up the Twitter sphere. I embarrassed our producer Mike Davis. Eric Dickerson beat you. I don't know how you feel about that. We need to talk about some of your management skills here, Mike.
I know I got to make some adjustments to my roster. I know I had some guys go down. I know I got to be GM right now. I got to be GM.
Yeah.
And I got to go to my rosters and I got to make some changes, and in come some guys and out go some guys.
This is the part of the season where the men, this separates the men from the boys, the women from the girls, is that now you're going to have bye weeks to deal with. So you got to find guys that you can slot in there. You got to make a trade or two now for a guy that's really doing well, that already had his bye week. You can trade for a higher value versus someone who hasn't played their bye week and vice versa. So you can be sly on the GM thing. You know what I mean? It's almost like, you know a guy, I'm going to get him for 5 more weeks. This guy's only got 4 more weeks. You can do some stuff like that, especially when Paul Pierce isn't paying attention. Might be able to get
kind of sneak him. I got to sneak him.
You got to sneak him on Paul Pierce. So, and that would be really helpful because this week 6, I got Paul Pierce. And I'm trying to talk some trash to him on Twitter. I know where he lives. I found out where he lives. Him and KG. I might go TP their house in the middle of the night, cause some gaming society drama. But I was pretty excited. Took me only 200 points to get best manager of the week. I got Paul Pierce, and you got the CEO. You got Jamie. So I would say don't pull any punches. We need you to win.
I mean, look, I'm about winning, man. I don't care who it is. Man, I love all y'all to death, man. But Jamie gonna have to get it. And I know she's the facilitator and she's the head honcho.
Give her the business.
I like to win.
Yeah, you got to win. And someone who helps you win.
She want to beat me. She want to beat me.
Someone who you've been bagging on for weeks who finally showed up, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if you saw, basically.
Yeah, man, I was proud of so I seen him hit the end zone the other night, and I went, I just went to check just to see if it, what type of changes might have been made in terms of my points. I appreciate the effort and give him,
just didn't get you over the hump against
the utmost respect for trying. He did his thing, man. I wish he would have showed up a little early in the season. Let's just hope he continue that trend.
The big runs and chunks always get everybody excited, but you and they're great. But it's almost like us talking about guys receiving yards or rushing yards. You need them to show up all game because you need points per carry or reception, stuff like that. That's where you can go from having like 9 points on a big run to having like a 19-point day. That's where it's big. But big day for Jonathan Taylor. He finally showed up. That made the draft pick a little bit worth it, but we'll see. Big week. I got Paul Pierce. I got to hang on to my undefeated cap, and you got Jamie, and then. To always end this. Now, we talked about at the top of the show, we were 2-0. We got our big all-in segment. I like this segment. This is kind of what I've been feeling lately, is thinking like, you know what? Take the knowledge that Mike Vick gives you. Take the stuff that you've been reading. Take your converging validity, as I just kind of stated over there. Put it together. Do your all-in. Kicking it to Mike Vick first. You're receiving. Going this way. What's your all-in for this week?
Last week, you mentioned that Jacksonville was in the trenches of a firestorm?
The dumpster fire, I believe, is what I call it.
Dumpster fire, you said?
Yeah, you know what a dumpster fire is when all.
No, but it sounds terrible.
It's terrible.
Something that I want to be like 3,000 yards away from, right?
Yeah. You're burning garbage. Couldn't be any worse.
Yes, man. And I'll say this: my all-in pick, the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
And I got some guys on that Las Vegas Raiders team that I know personally, and I want to send, shout outs their way, man. Keep your head up and keep going. But that's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
For 1 week, just this week alone.
Yeah.
After this week, they'll get through it. It's just too many changes that has to be made. It's a abrupt shock in just what was going on in terms of just how they was operating and the optimism they had.
Yeah.
And I think the Broncos come in and I think they beat the brakes off of them, man. And I know it might sound crazy, but that's my all-in pick. It's a dumpster fire over there. Give them a week to clean it up, clear their heads out, and then get back to football come week 7.
It's hard for me to argue.
I say that in all fairness.
It's hard for me to argue. Used my own.
I had to shout you out for that.
Or with me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm with you. Like I really like that bet. I do agree. I think it will be interesting to see because John Gruden was a play caller,
right.
And so they lost their head coach and they also lost their play caller. So how are they going to make up for both of those? Right? Because someone's got to call plays. And then they're going to have to promote someone to basically be the head coach. And as that can be, I don't follow who they actually did to do that. Maybe Davis. Do we know who stepped up for the Raiders coach? The thing about it, though,
special teams coach or something.
Yeah, like they always kind of pass it to someone like that because they can do a better job delegating. The problem is that person is going to have to overly communicate what's going on.
Yeah,
and that's a tough situation. So I'm in with you all in. My all-in bet, I'm going to go back to the well. We had Kansas City last week that I thought could rally. I was really disappointed in them. I don't know why they lost. I know why they lost. They're playing a Bills team that's pretty tough. I don't know how they lost the way they lost, I guess is what I was trying to say. And I feel like Andy Reid better than anyone probably on this planet in terms of how he thinks and how he attacks. I don't think a guy like that doesn't figure out how to attack a team because now it's a copycat league. Everyone's going to try to do what the Bills did to slow them down. Everyone's going to try to say, he's like, all right, he's probably got 50 plays for that.
Yeah.
The Redskins, mind you, also somewhat of a dumpster fire in this
football team.
The Washington football team. I apologize. When I played with them, they were the Redskins. So
understandable.
I apologize. They're part of this dumpster fire, this kind of this John Gruden thing. Don't forget, and I don't think they figured out that organization. Also, an issue over there, and I think Andy Reid's coming back fired up after getting kind of embarrassing or at least very 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 frustrated in their last game. They are -7. I don't care. I think Kansas City comes out and blows the doors off Washington football team. So that's my all-in bet.
Wow.
You circle back.
You thought that one through, Dave. You thought that one through. I thought I had a good all-in. Your all-in was better.
We'll circle back. We'll both be 2-0, and then we're going to have to start doing putting some actual real money on this instead of talking about it. But it is fun to break down and to listen to how we talk about games and actually apply that to one all-in bet. I like it all in. But and you know what? I think that's a perfect place to end this show. I think, hey, if there's any more boxing going on, I expect an invite. I know you got it from the big bro, Mike Strahan. So if you can give it to the step cousin, Dave Anderson, I'd appreciate invite. I can fit into I'm pretty small. I can fit in an overhead bin. I can get in there pretty easily.
We'll find a spot for you. We got Canelo. Hey, we got Canelo and Caleb Plant coming up soon, and I think that's PBC Fox. So maybe it's an opportunity. Let's just stay optimistic.
if there's one thing I think everyone needs to know is you got to know your role in life. And I look like an average white dude, right? I can be anybody in that crew. I can just roll right through. I can be like Leonardo DiCaprio and Catch Me If You Can. You just pretend like you belong. I'll walk right along with you guys. It'll be all right.
Got you, brother.
Big time week this week. We're excited about what's going on. Excited about continuing to teach you listeners about what's going on in football. Mike, Vick, and I are learning a lot from each other about football. I love picking your brain. Thank you for this show, Gaming Society Football Edition. I'm Dave Anderson. That's Mike Vick. See you next week. Make sure to sign up and subscribe at thegamingsociety.com and hit that follow button at The Gaming Society on all social platforms.